Welcome to Tai Chi. Everybody ready? Let's warm up. Hands at your waist, turn your neck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Stretch your neck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Turn your shoulders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Expand your chest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Waist exercise. Interlock those fingers. Keep your arms closer to your ear to force your hips and waist to peek at the heel of your opposite foot. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Airplane. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Touch toe, the same way you go down on the downstroke, it's the same way you come up on the upstroke. 3, 4, it's okay to arch your back. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Turn your hips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Be careful. Shift your weight to the left foot. Good Tai Chi posture. Head straight up. Lined up our done 10 points. Kick your right foot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Kick your butt. 1, shift weight. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Turn your knees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Heisman, opening up your span, parallel feet. Choose the right side. Cross and sit on that side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Shift weight, cross. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Short 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, practicing our golden cockerel, trying to create spirals. In order to create spirals, you're going to need to swirl or swivel on your Danten points or axle, creating spirals, pushing down and pushing up together. Here we go. Shift weight to the left, center and up. Spiral up higher or spiral down higher. Shift your weight, turn on that axle, concentrate on your Danten. Synchronize your movements. Last one. Here we go with kicking out. Gather the energy on a semicircle, center by tucking the elbows, following the kick with the right hand and the right foot, gathering the energy, centering the energy. Left hand, left foot follows with the eye. Center with the elbows tucked in, coming out and out, down, center, and out. One more set, dropping the shoulders. Okay, holding our ball in a T stance. Out and to the side, part the wild horse's mane. 1. Sit back, sit down on an imaginary stool, twist step, T stance, L stance, O stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot, root down, T stance, L stance, O stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot, twist step, T stance, L stance, O stance. Listen carefully, sit back, sit down, twist step, brush your knee, set it up correctly. All together, ear, hand, heel, turn the hips and waist, hands go for the ride. Sit back, sit down, pivot, left hand higher, right hand to your shoulder, set it up. All together, power of the mind, power of the hips and waist. Sit back, sit down, twist step, set it up correctly, multi, and magic. Are your hands really going for the ride? Sit back, sit down, pivot, set it up correctly, multitask, turn the hips and waist, power of the hips and waist. Sit back, sit down, twist step, T stance, L stance, O stance. Sit back, sit down, twist step, T stance. Part the wild horse's mane. Here it is. Cloud hands in the 24. 12 o'clock. Out. Pivot to the 9 o'clock. 12 o'clock. 3 o'clock, two things happen. 9 o'clock. Two things happen at 9 o'clock. Sorry, that was 12. Middle cup. 3 o'clock, two things happen. 9 o'clock, two things happen. Rotation 4, so we hook at 3 o'clock on a T, out on a 9, turn the wrist, single whip. Half step, sit back, rock the front, lift the front, pat your horse. Cross at the wrist, step out with your left heel, gather the energy, center the energy, right hand, right foot coming up, kick out, right. In, drop gently on your right heel, look through your double punch, Curl that wrist in. Sit back all the way, pivot. Left hand on the outside, left foot coming up. Kick out, left in, hook, down, halfway, veer to the left, set, up, golden cockerel. Okay, and we'll stop right there. All right, so those are part of our warm-ups, and yet at the same time, inching into the movements that we will be learning. Last week, we went all the way till warding off, grasping of the bird's tail. So today we're going to review that, and we're going to add a little bit more of refinement into our motions. So just to start, we all know how to commence, but do we really know that we are thinking through all the different sub-muscle movements, and are we really directing our movements through our mind and through our core? Are we sure that we are keeping our Tai Chi posture and not raising that shoulder right there? Continue to watch, because I'll do it all wrong the next round. Do we know that we are in a bow step, and do we know that we are firm and we are straight up at the same time? Are we taking that 45 degree? Are we stable before we can do a L stance and then a bow stance? Are we finishing up the movement by fully turning your hips and waist? Are you square to that forward foot? Are we then knowing that we need to take a half step, shoulders still down, and that when we spin, we sit back on the back foot, watch the advancing right hand, and simultaneously bringing it to our front toe to lift off before we set? So yes, you are coming from all parts of your journey, and we still yet to need to somehow standardize together or unify our movements as best we can in this for this class before we can move on. So yes, I know that you come from different experiences, but we're going to try our best to try to unify. So people who know Tai Chi and been with me for 8-10 years and are still in this class, they have the opportunity to now to refine it a little bit more. At the same time, I'm teaching the newer students, I'm giving them a full plate so you can take the option and learn a little bit more. So what we're going to do now is we're going to face the clock wall, and we're going to come forward. But we're not just going to do it any old way. We're going to try to do it in the way that I demonstrated and try to get in some refinement. Okay? Good Tai Chi posture, dropping the shoulder, middle finger to the side seam, tucking our butt, chin slightly down, glance way out into infinity, down 10 points, lined up. 50-50. Shift weight to the right, 60, 70, 80, 90, on your toe, off the ground, open, toe, arch, heel, 50-50, rotate your hands. Take a deep breath in as you draw up the water. Think through the process at shoulder level, push down the water, use your knees to flex to get that strength. T stance, don't raise that shoulder. T stance, bring that ball, bring the elbows in. Insubstantial comes out on a straightaway. Energy comes from the back foot out across through your system to part the wild horse's mane. 1. Sit back, sit down. 45-degree zigzag out. Ball for better balance. Heel out on a straightaway as we move the energy to part the wild horse's mane. 2. Sit back, sit down. 45 out on a zigzag, ball for better balance, heel on a straightaway, bottom hand advances, final parting of the wild horse's mane. We take a half step. Half step requires balance, so we're going to center with the ball. We're going to sit back on our back foot at the same time. Rock the front to the toe, lift up the right as we follow it, set it down, and white crane spreads its wings. Okay, so I didn't get in all the instructions on it, but here we go. The left hand sits to the side of your left hip as if it were holding a ball from the top. So the hands cannot be straight out, they cannot be lazy and sit back like this, but they have to be soft, holding another tennis ball, say. The right hand is above your forehead as if the baby finger lines up so it cuts through the edge of your left shoulder. We don't want this thing and we don't want this thing, but we do want the elbow dropped down. Weight on the back. We tuck the elbow. Can you tuck the elbow? Tuck the elbow at the same time, drop the front foot. The weight goes down because you're bisecting towards your danten. You're swirling back, creating a spiral, glancing at the backhand. We're ready for brush knee. We lift up the front foot, set it up, multitask, power of setting up correctly, our magic of brush knee. Sit back, sit down, allowing our insubstantial to pivot on a zigzag, setting it up correctly, all together, and power of the hips and waist, making your movement to brush your knee. Sit back, sit down, zigzag on a 45, set it up correctly, heel, hand, ear, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Half step, sit back on the back, rock the front foot to its toe, set it up on your heel, play your lute. How do you play your lute? The left hand centers the body. The right hand is a little crooked in that the fingers or hand dips towards the elbow of the left hand, and it's not parallel, but something like this. Okay, and weight on the back, weight on the back, okay? So left hand is no problem, it centers our body. Right hand, you take your crux of your elbow and you dip it this way. Okay, weight on the back. Drop your front foot. Oh, sorry, don't drop your front foot. Here you are playing your lute. Center the front hand, which is pretty much center. Look at the back hand that's higher. Open both hands to the ceiling. Mainly your front hand so that you can catch that ball coming from the ceiling. Weight on the back. You're itching to move that because it's sore. You're going to multitask. You're coming this way. How? This way. You're coming this way. And you're coming this way. Okay? So how are we doing it? We're like this. And we're going to come here, but at the same time that we create a stability, we can now lift off and stretch out to a toe and then a heel. This time on the front foot, you're going to pivot on the ball or front of your foot as you meet your hands in the middle. Okay, and I'm going to show you, this is how I want you to meet in the middle like this. Then you're going to glide. Okay, so here, heel on the front, glancing at the back, all together, ear, lift, heel, a toe, pivot, meet, slide. Slide to your hip. Other side, lead with your toe this time. Front hand catching that ball from the ceiling, weight on the back, lift up, ear, toe, heel, pivot on the ball of your front foot as you meet in the center, and slide forward. Slide back in a synchronized way. Weight on the back, glancing at the right, lead with the toe, ear, toe, heel. Pivot on the ball, meet in the center, repulse the monkey. 3, center, higher, glance at the back, weight on the back, all together, lift off the ground, ear, toe, heel, swivel on that axle, meet in the center, final. Hold your ball on a T stance. today's lesson. We're going to ward off in grasping of the bird's tail. Take an L stance straight away, forearm your opponent with the bottom hand advancing. Push him away, push him out, but don't give up your stance. You are stable, so we only need a certain distance in which to push the guy away. Power of the hips and waist, turns, then reposition your hands. Grasp the bird's tail by how? Sitting down, sitting back, turning at your hips and waist. Turning at your waist, contacting but pushing the energy from the center of the body. Separate the energy and roll back and sit down. Store that energy and then generate it up and forward. Okay? All right. So, yes, my voice got a little louder. Yes, my voice commanded a little bit more from you, and that's what I want you to do, okay? Stay with the program. Learn that the forcefulness comes from the mind, but the images come from martial arts derivation. So we're going to have to keep that always in our mind to create good Tai Chi movements, okay? So this is what I tried to teach you. We said that we were on a T stance and we needed to grasp the bird's tail. Grasping the bird's tail, you remember, entails two sub-movements. First, we have to step out and we have to advance our bottom hand to ward off our opponent by using our forearm. If we did not know that martial arts is important, we would give our opponent a time for us to really lose our balance. So it's important that when we ward off, we just want that space in which we need, or the distance that we need to push him out. So tie it in with our movement. Once you create that space, the power of the hips and waist turns you to reposition your hands. The hands are not palm to palm, but staggered. Weight is still heavily on the back. Oh, I'll take it back, about 50-50. To grasp the bird's tail or to pull down the opponent, you need to use your mind and your hips and waist and your core to leave your hands there and to drag him down. How am I getting back there? Do I have hips and waist? I contact, but the force is not there until I bring it to the front of my body and I separate the energy. I roll back. Why? And sit down. The energy needs to be there for me to then push him out. If the energy is not stored here and partly here, I have no force except my hands and my limbs to push, which is not enough. Okay? Let's try that. Okay, this time we're going to go, which way are we going to go? This way first, okay? T-stance, holding your ball. Right hand on the bottom, right foot ready to go. That's how you know you're matched up. The weight on the back, so therefore the left knee should be slightly flexed. Weight on the back, shoulders not up and raised, but down. Because you're rooted, you want to obey gravity. Bring the arms in, T-stance. Take a straightaway L, energy still on the back. Move the bottom hand to forearm and ward off your opponent. Set it up correctly. Danten points lined up. You are not a prey to your opponent. Leave your hands there. Turn the hips and waist. Reposition your hands. Staggered, not palm to palm. You want to bring down the bird's tail or bring down your opponent, but you want to leave your hands there and make your hands go for the ride. How can you do that? You think it through, use your hips and waist, and shift your weight. Here we go. Sit, back, sit, down. Turn at the hips and waist. Full extent. Turn back and contact. Turn the hips and waist. Center of the body. Push the energy through. Separate the energy. Roll back and sit down, spiral up, lunge forward. Other side. Sit back, sit down, twist step, T stance, creating that insubstantial. We're safe because we have a substantial right back foot holding our energy. We want to ward off. How are we going to do that? First, we're in a T. The next is an L. We're going to bottom hand advances and forearm our opponent. We want to grasp the bird's tail. Turn the hips and waist, reposition the hands. We want to bring down our opponent. We're going to use the power of the mind, and we're going to use our core by sitting back, sitting down, turning at the hips and waist. The hands went for the ride. Contact, turn again. Then push the energy through. Separate the hands and roll back and sit down. Why do we want to sit down? We have energy stored so that we can push them away. Here's a drill. Twist step. T stance. L stance. Forearm. Turn hips and waist. Reposition. Grasp the bird's tail. Use your hips and waist. Upper body matches the lower body. From the center of your body, push the energy through. Wear your mittens. Sit down. Spiral up. Lunge forward. Twist step. T stance. L stance. Bow stance. Turn the hips and waist. Grasp bird's tail. Use your hips and waist to get back. Use your hips and waist to turn to the center. Roll back and sit down. Can you sit down? Spiral up. Lunge forward. Twist step. T stance. Bow stance. Ward off. Turn the hips and waist. Grasp the bird's tail. So as we drill and as we get more comfortable with the movement, the energy flows to the body rhythm that you create through the energy that you have stored. The power of the mind helps you with your movements. You no longer need to hear my voice, but you internalize what we have drilled. But up until the point, everything is pretty methodical. It has to be because we want to do Tai Chi in the best, optimal way, where we are obeying gravity and making it more efficient as well as safer to our activities. And once you feel that you are comfortable in any movement, you will realize that the hands definitely go for the ride. They go for a freebie, but yet there are requirements in what they do. But more and more that you work with Tai Chi, you realize that, hold your ball on a T-step, you realize that that there's a pattern, always a pattern. Once you take a bow step, you're going to have to sit back, sit down. You're going to have to take a twist step, then you're going to have to take a straightaway. Similarly, when you hear the pattern, T stance is like a twist step, L stance is like a straightaway, and bow stance is this way. It may vary, but more than likely, there are definite patterns of substantial step, insubstantial, then substantial, then a sit back and a sit down. This ebbing and flowing will help us with relaxation, okay? So Tai Chi definitely grows on you. In the beginning, it seems like it's very piecemeal and very illogical. Like who whoever taught us how to do this strange movement. But because it grows on you and there's a pattern, you feel almost as if it's a natural way to move, okay? At the same time, it's so powerful that you are in meditation, okay? All right. So we covered grasping of the bird's tail. Are there any questions? Okay. We covered repulsing of the monkey, and there should be questions. But first, we have to make sure that we understand the movement and why it's safe, and then try to apply it. But if we cannot apply it in the way we saw it or understand it, then no matter how much I tell you to refine it, you haven't had a start. So you have to practice it. You have to try it out. You have to test it. You have to know your body. You have to apply the principles. So just in a short way, because I tend to use it a lot because it's intimidating because you are walking backwards. It's a Tai Chi walk, but done in a backwards motion. So if you can extrapolate, it can be very safe, but you can't do it without knowing the elements that make you safe. So when we're playing our lute, we're setting it up correctly. Weight is on the back because we know that we have to advance or lift the insubstantial foot. We cannot have two weighted feet because we're going to have to do some fast movements to keep our balance. So we set it up correctly. The right hand is dipped towards your elbow. It's not parallel like this. Neither is it stiff. Neither is it this way, because you want 99% of your weight on the back, okay? So usually if people are telling me this is my best playing the lute, you know right away there's about 50%, 40% of weight in the front, but you want to totally be on the back. The first one, you keep your heel that way and you open up like this. You don't open up like this, and neither do you open up like this, but you open up slightly at eye level because you want to be able to glance at it without too much movement. I usually say play your lute, make sure it's on the back, your weight is on the back foot, center the front hand, which is already centered, and back hand higher, open to the ceiling. So this is all I mean. Open to the ceiling, catch that ball here. But it's helping us with centering, whereas this one is now coming this way and slightly open, catching another ball coming from an angle, okay? So this is setting it up. We want to walk backwards, but we are using our limbs, our upper body, to help us with centering and being balanced. We are also using our cable to swivel on, okay? Watch how it's done. Glancing at the backhand, we're going to do several things. Hand to the ear as I go back, and I pivot on the front and I come forward. This is like if you look at my feet, it is the Tai Chi walk where one is at zigzag and one is in the forward, where no two feet can be in the same line or in the same direction. The second repulsing of the monkey, you lead with your toe. Remember I set you up with a lute and the weight was on the back, so we were on our heel. This time it's on your toe. We do repulsing of the monkey 4 times. This is now my center hand. This is the hand that's higher. I'm glancing there. I don't want to watch there because I need the coordination of my body and my hands to then lift off. But I can't just lift off. I need to consolidate my energy. I'm stable on my toe. I'm in an awkward position. I come down with my heel. At the same time, I advance that top hand and I straighten up. Repulse or pushing the monkey away. But if we are aware and particular, swiveling on my axle, meeting in the center, drawing back, weight on the back to set it up correctly again. So if we are aware of the elements that go into any movement, more than likely you are safer and you will do what is natural. But to say to you, follow me and do it, you may not get the full understanding of why we're doing it. Okay? So yes, it looks like it's intriguing, but it can be risky. But knowing that these guys out here are helping you to stay stable, and you're always centering, and you're always making very clear that the advancing foot has to have no weight. If this has no weight, the opposite occurs. The other foot has to be able to ground you down to make this. And what? My axle needs to spin. My axle inside needs to help me, and I need to spin, adjust that front foot by pivoting now on the ball of the foot, the front of the foot, and then drawing back. Why do I need to draw back? Because the next one requires weight on the back. You set yourself up correctly, you glance, you multitask, but you need to understand that this guy is helping you to stay stable. And I don't pull back further back, because then I don't know where my center is, and I pull back not high, because once I say high, my shoulder now is throwing my Tai Chi posture out. I want to draw back and get 100% of my weight on my back. Okay, let's try that. So you don't have to bring that foot up so high that you lose your balance and lose the reasoning that I'm telling you. Okay, right now we're using the elements to keep you safe. You don't have to show me the extreme of it. We are learning more about our bodies and what the mind says is good for us, but trying to teach our body to move.
I just want to explain it in a slightly different way, more occidental way. We have, for function in controlling balance, 3 functions. Eyes, vision, inner ear, vestibular system, and the musculoskeletal body, which uses a thing called proprioception. Proprioception is our awareness of where the different parts of our bodies are, just from the feelings that we get from our bones, joints, muscles, ligaments, skin. And when we're first born, it's on an automatic level. But as we get better, maybe we start to get aware that, hey, we can walk and we can do whatever we need to do as an adult. But still, in our youth, a lot of this stuff is automatic. But as we get older, for various reasons, sometimes disuse, you sit at a desk too long, you're inactive, your body sort of forgets that. What we're trying to do in Tai Chi, in some way, is to improve vision, inner ear, and proprioception. But the main benefit comes in proprioception. So if Lucille says, okay, if you do and follow me and just go through the motions, you don't know what the reason why we're doing it, but it's just because she's doing it, we're going to do it. You will help your proprioceptive system, because on an automatic level, your body gets to semi-remember or remember how it used to do automatically. But Tai Chi uses the conscious mind. We harness the use of a martial art, and the martial art develops different strategies to move around in balance, safety, with maximum energy. The proprioception, what we're trying to do when we do our movements is direct our bodies to move in a certain way. And what you're doing also is you get this thing called, this concept of postural awareness. If you're just walking around and moving your arms, you become aware that one part of your body is moving, and you don't quite get the information that maybe if I put my arm this way, it's making me go this way, or maybe it's going that way. But you know that something with your body movement makes the orientation of your body slightly different. Besides postural awareness, there's this other thing called kinesthetic awareness. That is, you know consciously that if I move my body in a certain way, I will effect some other compensation movement in the rest of my body to accommodate that. And that's what Tai Chi does. It makes you move your hands. The hand says, if the hands of the body says we go this way, what happens? Everybody goes this way, okay? And that's part of the movement. Brush knee, turn the waist. And you're steady, comes down, you're stable, turn this way. You see, and that's teaching the conscious use of your proprioceptive system. So you're working on both ends, okay? So if you do nothing else but follow her, you will help your proprioception, and maybe some of the conscious changes will click on you. Oh yeah, I can do that now when I couldn't do that before. And then you harness that further.
You heard what Mel said. He said he's asking about whether this elbow that pushes away the monkey, whether this is pretty much locked, okay? And the word lock is usually a negative in Tai Chi. You never want to lock any of your joints, any of your meridians or points where energy can flow. So I don't remember reminding you that whenever we do Tai Chi, the movement and the arms are not tight in, and the best way to remember that is that you have a raw egg under your arm and you don't want to squash it, okay? So there's always that space in there. Another thing along that line is that the arms or elbows are never straight out. In Yang Tai Chi, we're always rounded. We're never out to a straight point like this, but there is some flex in that elbow. So that should answer your question. So you asked specifically whether that hand that repulses is like this, right? This one, yeah? I say NO because that would be against what I have been trying to promote, where the elbow is always has some flex in it.
When you do your Tai Chi moves, think about the analogy of a whip. I think I talked about that before, okay? The business end of the whip is the tip, but the power comes from, and the energy goes at the speed of sound, okay? Same thing in Tai Chi. You start off relaxed, and the energy is coming. You visualize the energy is coming from here, stabilized, coming up, and it comes down the back, twist, and the last minute is here. The hand starts off very relaxed. At the point of contact, you could show that, I guess, if you wanted to, but that's not the Tai Chi way. You just.
So basically, the answer is how I explained it. We're not doing martial arts, and Tai Chi is derived from martial arts, but it is a dance and it is meditation and motion. So we're not looking for that final energy coming straight out. So I think, we're okay with that. So I decided that the best thing is for me not to stick with just the beginning movements or just the middle movements or just the hard movements, but just give you a smattering of everything. And when we go over and we refine those movements, we can dig down deeper. It'll make the class not as boring because you're coming from all different times of your journey. So I want to kind of capitalize on who you are and then give you something more to work on rather than just starting, from scratch and building. But in this way of moving and jumping from different movements, if we are persistent, consistent, and put Tai Chi principles as our forefront and our priority, we will be able to get to everything, okay? All right, we have 10 minutes. Let's go through from the beginning and see if we can get to beyond grasping of the bird's tail and a little bit more, okay? So this time, shall we go the regular way? going to the left. What's that?
They can see better with this.
Okay, so people on the left get to the right. Okay? Just move to so that you can see, okay? Your job is to do the best Tai Chi you know how, and beyond that, try to improve and use some of the principles that we are trying to show you, okay? Good Tai Chi posture, dropping the shoulders, thinking good thoughts, tongue on your palate, 50-50. Shift weight to the right, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 off the ground, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Hands rotate, take a deep breath in. So we elevate and drop that water. At shoulder level, we reverse the process, tuck the elbows, flex the knees, push the water down, form a T, hold your ball. Out and to the side, part the wild horse's mane. 1. Use your core. Sit back and sit down on that imaginary stool. Zigzag out, ball for better balance. Out on a straightaway, L stance, bottom hand advances, go up the horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, hold your ball, heel out, straight away, bow stance. Half step, hold your ball, rotate your ball to the right as you shift your weight to the back, onto the toe of the front, watch the advancing hand, put your toe out, sink down, white crane spreads its wings, checking to see whether your hand that's above baby finger slices through the left shoulder blade. Drop the front foot, tuck the elbow in as if you were to bisect your body down to your dantian. Swirl back and look back by turning your hips and waist, setting it up correctly. All together. Heel, hand, ear. Turn the hips and waist. Brush your knee. Sit back, sit down. 45-degree it. Set it up correctly. All together. Ear, hand, heel. Brush your knee too. Sit back, sit down. 45-degree it. Set it up correctly. All together. And smooth the energy. Do not lock it up. Final parting of the wild. Final brush knee. Half step forward. Sit back on the back foot. Rock the front foot to toe. Set it on its heel as you play your lute. Checking for parameters of playing the lute. Right hand dipped into the left elbow. Weight on the back. Center the front hand. Glance at the back hand that's higher, open to the ceiling. Follow and glance at the back hand. We're going to step backwards. All together. Ear, lift, toe, heel, pivot on the ball of your front foot as you meet the hands, slide forward, slide back. Lead with the toe, open, glance at the left hand that's higher, all together. Toe, ear, toe, heel, pivot on the ball as you meet. Pull back, draw back. Center, higher, glance, lead with the toe, all together. Ear, toe, swivel on that axle, pivot on the ball, repulse. 3. Center, higher, lead with the toe, lift off the ground, all together. Swivel on that axle, adjust that foot, draw back. Hold your ball on a T stance. Weight on the back, energy stored. We're going to ward off our opponent using our forearm. Step out, bottom hand advances, pushes him out. Set that space. Turn the hips and waist, reposition the hands. Grasp the bird still. Sit down. Use your hips and waist to turn back. Contact, turn at the hips and waist. Push the energy from the center. Separate the energy and roll back and sit down. Spiral up, lunge forward. Other side. Twist step. T stance. L stance. Forearm, push them out. Good Tai Chi posture. Turn hips and waist. Reposition hands. Hands go for the ride because you're sitting back, using your hips and waist, using your hips and waist to contact to push through. Separate and roll back and sit down. Hands hardly move. They only move because they are attached. Going on. Sit back, sit down. Twist step. Cup at 12 o'clock. Out to the 9 o'clock, two things happen. Flip the hands. Oh. Now, T-step, hook, across the face, out, L stance, turn the wrist, single whip. Okay, so we need to cover single whip. Let's go on. Sit back, sit down, pivot, cup at 12 o'clock, out to the 3 o'clock. How do I get there? Do I reach there with my hands? The answer is always no. You use your hips and waist. 3 o'clock. Move to the 12 o'clock by not moving your hands, but using your hips and waist. You have a stem and a cup. We want to get out to the 9. How do we do that? Do we just reach there? No, we're at 12. We're keeping our position. We're pivoting on our left heel. Our body follows because we have hips and waists that move. Two things happen at 9. Flip the hands, close the feet. Use your hips and waists to get to 12. At 3 o'clock, we're going to flip the hands and open the feet. 12 o'clock, stem cup, almost a 50-50 on weight distribution. 9 o'clock, two things happen. Flip the hands, simultaneously close the feet. Stem cup at 12. 3 o'clock, two things happen. Flip the hands, open the feet. 9 o'clock, two things happen. Flip the hands, close the feet. 12 o'clock, stem cup. After 3 rotations, we look in the 3 o'clock position. We hook our hand and we form a T on our feet. The left hand comes across our face, steps out and turn the wrist out again, and you're in a single whip position. Okay? One more or a couple more moves. Half step forward. Sit back on the back foot warrants you to open your hands or palms to the ceiling at the same time. The weight of your left foot is on its toe. It's the insubstantial. So therefore, if you set it up correctly, you can now lift it off and go up the horse's mane. You're going to jab the guy by bringing your right hand crossing of the left hand crossing the right. You're in the center of your body. You're on your toe. You're going to step out with your left heel. Gather the energy, center the energy, right foot, right hand coming up, and kick out right. In, drop gently on your right heel on a L stance, and double punch him in the ear. So you ask yourself, if the opponent that you're fighting or working with, where is his ears? Okay, and that's the size of the punch or the distance of the punch that you have. Then you should kind of curl it in. Sit back, sit down, pivot all the way around, gather the energy, semicircle it, left hand on the outside, left foot coming up, kick out, left, and then hook the right hand and split to your toe of your left. And we're now at serpent in the grass. Okay, so good. For those of you who know the 24 and can do it, I think the best frame of mind when you come in is to say, I know it, but I'm going to learn it a little bit better. So leave what you know aside for a little while and pick up new things, especially for the easy movements as well as for the hard movements, because then you leave your mind open for more options. But if you say, I already know it, then perhaps you might block out stuff that could help you with your movements.